Welcome to class, everyone. As you can see, we have a setup here. I'm going to explain to you what the materials are that we see. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to make a prediction about what's going to happen. Now remember, it's not very exciting just to make a prediction and then watch it happen and then say, yeah, that's what I meant. So when it's time to make the prediction, I'm going to say, please pause the video. And at that moment, I'm going to ask you to write down what your prediction is. Now, not only am I going to ask you to predict, but I also want you to reference what things we have been talking about in class, what scientific ideas support your prediction. In other words, what makes your prediction not just a random guess, but a hypothesis, because what you think is going to happen is going to be based on some evidence. All right, well, let's talk about what we have here. We have 3 beakers. All 3 beakers contain regular tap water. The beaker on the left has some ice in it, and the ice has been sitting there for at least 20 minutes. So all the water in that beaker should be pretty cold. You can see condensation forming on the outside of the beaker. The middle beaker and the right beaker both have room temperature water in them. And you might even notice that the middle beaker is not quite as full as the right beaker because I have this ice sitting here that I'm going to put in the middle beaker. So the left beaker, ice water that's been sitting there for a long time. The middle beaker in just a moment is going to have some ice added to it. So it's going to have ice floating on mostly room temperature water. And then there's going to be room temperature water. Then you can see that the other material we have is food coloring, which of course is green because green is my favorite color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ice into the beaker, and then I'm going to add a few drops of food coloring to each of the 3 beakers. And I wonder what is going to happen. Will exactly the same thing happen in all 3 beakers? Will 2 of them have the same thing going on and 1 of them have something different? Or will all 3 beakers be different? So I want you to think about what you think is going to happen with the food coloring that I add. And then remember, your reason you think that can't be, yeah, I just guess. Your reason for what you think is going to happen in the 3 different containers needs to be based on some scientific ideas that we have been talking about the last week in our class. All right, so this would be a great time to press pause and take 2, 3, 5 minutes and write out not just what you think is going to happen very clearly in sentences, but also why you think it's going to happen. Okay, so click pause and do that. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you have finished that description, not only of what you think is going to happen, but why you think it's going to happen. And I'm putting the ice in here. So now I have new ice water in the middle. I have ice water that's had a long time to get cool on the left. And I have just room temperature water on the right. So let's start with 3 drops and see if we can see what happens. 3 drops. Oh my goodness, 3 drops on the left. I'm sorry, that's the right. 3 drops on the right, 3 drops on the left, and 3 drops in the middle. And we'll wait a little bit and we'll see what happens. Okay, now to me, I'm just going to describe what I think. It looks to me like even though I added the food coloring to the middle container last, that is the one where the green has completely mixed in the water, even though I put the food coloring in there last. It looks like on the right, that there has been some mixing, but maybe not a whole lot. And on the left, it looks like the food coloring fell to the bottom, but really has not mixed. It looks like the only one where things really mixed well was in the middle. Is that what you predicted? If it's not what you predicted, can you think back to what we talked about this week that might explain why? And there's going to be some questions on a worksheet for you to answer regarding this. Have a great day.